Join me now, political commentator, talk show host, and author of the new book, Don't Burn This Book, Thinking for Yourself in the Age of Unreason, Dave Rubin. Dave, thank you so much for joining me. Dave, what do you think about AOC blaming some of these members of Congress and those who are running the House for being internet incompetent, and that's why they lost seats?
Yeah, well, what AOC is really blaming them for is not being totally woke leftists. What she really fears is that there are a group of Democrats or people on the left, maybe some old school liberals, who aren't in complete lockstep with her giant government programs, who maybe don't believe that the United States or the world is going to end in 12 years because of climate change, or perhaps have a slightly more moderate position on abortion, something that Democrats used to have. She wants complete control of the party, which would then give her, in the long term, complete control of the country. And I think in many ways, regardless of what happens with the outcome of this election, that will be the takeaway from the election, that the Democrats have to figure out, what are they? Are they the Bernie socialists and the squad and just this giant government program coupled with critical race theory and social justice and identity politics? Are they that? I'm against all of those things, but are they that? Or are they something that is closer to an old school Democrat who at least believes America is perhaps fundamentally good, or that the free markets are kind of decent, or the rest of it? That's the battle that they have to have. And what AOC in essence is saying, if you're not going to be with me on this thing, we'll just take you out because we'll get the Twitter people to silence you.
Yeah, and you saw that the members of the squad are all returning to Congress, and I can't imagine how emboldened they feel. But they have to realize they're in a bubble. Just because their district is as very, very liberal and supported the squad and their socialist views doesn't mean that that's what the rest of America looks like. And again, that's why I think AOC is a little bit confused, because not all districts around the country are like her district, where she got like 70% of the support in her community.
Yeah, well, not only that, but look, we know that black male support for President Trump more than doubled. Black female support doubled from 4 to 8%. Now 8% is not a huge amount, but doubling shows you something interesting. We know that LGBT support for Trump did extremely well. I think more than doubled as well. So Latino support did well. So these minority groups that the left thinks that they own just on the basis of their skin color or their gender or their sexuality, they are breaking. And the left doesn't have much to offer if they can't control you by those things. You know, they tell you they're for women, but I'm guessing they're not for you, and they're not for Candace Owens, and they're not for Kayleigh McEnerney and the rest of it. They're for women that they can control. They say they're for gays, but they're not for Peter Thiel or Rick Grenell. And they say they're for black people, but they're certainly not for Larry Elder or Thomas Sowell or anyone else. And I think once people wake up to this, they reject those ideas. I think some of the results of the election prove that.
Yeah, good points there. What do you think about her list? She wants to put Trump sycophants on a list, and she doesn't want them to see them in polite society. We've seen other figures like the Washington Post, Jennifer Rubin, say the same thing. That's terrifying.
I think it's very important to note that I am in no way related to Jennifer Rubin. I have to say that many times a day. I've had to repute Jennifer Rubin more than Donald Trump has had to repute white supremacy. Yeah, the idea of lists, that we're going to have lists of political opponents so that they can't get jobs. As Jennifer Rubin said, they can't be part of polite society. We're going to ensure that these people go back to the shadows or whatever it is. You know, the irony, of course, is that these are the things that they purported Donald Trump to believe in, that they would say Donald Trump wants lists of people and he's going to silence people. Donald Trump didn't come after the media. He fought with the media. That's healthy when you have a media that fights with the power. If Biden does, in fact, become president, you are going to see the biggest lapdog media you've seen since, well, Barack Obama. But the idea of lists, this is completely anti-American. You know, you win some elections and you lose some elections, and you don't try to either imprison or basically destroy the lives of your political opponents just because you have the power to do so.
Yeah, and really quickly, just to be clear here, on Twitter, this is what Jennifer Rubin said, obviously no relation to you. She said, They should never serve in office, join a corporate board, find a faculty position, or be accepted into polite society. We have a list. And keep in mind, remember, she used to call herself a Republican, and then she distanced herself from the Republican Party, even though she really wasn't Republican. I'm assuming she's on payroll over at MSNBC. So it's funny how things change, and your values and your morals and your care for the country and the Constitution all goes out the window when you're on salary at MSNBC.
Yes. I don't even have more to add to that. Yes. I mean, it's a little bit bizarre. And unfortunately, this is what we're getting with these sort of never Trump Republicans. It's like they're thrilled to lose as long as they're paid and they're liked by the mainstream. So that's what you get from these Lincoln Project people. That's what you get from, say, Jennifer Rubin at MSNBC and the rest of it. They say they have some Republican or conservative principles. Yet me, who in many ways is an old school liberal, in many ways I'm more conservative than them, and I would fight for the Constitution and the proper government that we've set up here way before they would. It's an odd flip on things, but if you want to just go to nice parties, there's a really easy way to do it, and she's doing it quite well.
Yeah, and obviously Biden is going with the networks calling him the new president of the United States. That being said, he thinks it's like time for us to come together and heal and unite. This after Democrats and Biden have been calling Trump supporters racist for all these years, pretended that Trump wasn't the real president, that he stole an election with Putin. And so, but now we all need to come together under Biden.
Yeah, now we have to heal, although apparently Chris Cuomo told, not Chris Cuomo, Andrew Cuomo, the governor of New York, told Howard Stern this morning that if he wasn't governor, he would punch Donald Trump. I mean, that's what we're dealing with here. Putting that aside, though, yes, well, they suddenly want to heal now that they have power. So let's pretend the results went the other way, at least from what we're seeing right now. And Trump was, the president, the two-term coming in president right now. Would they be saying, okay, we should heal? No, they would be saying destroy the country. So in many ways, they're just like a child who is crying in a corner, and eventually you give them the cookie, and that satiates them for a little while, but they're going to come crying again. And what they mean by heal and what they mean by reconcile is, hey, we're in power now. You guys shut up. We've got a list. But I think over 70 million Americans just aren't going to put up with that.
Well, and it's kind of crazy that he would come out and say that when it hasn't officially been confirmed that he's going to be the next president of the United States. Also, the legal challenges from President Trump. So can't we wait? Like he's already taking on the role here, and I think that is really upsetting for the 70 million Americans who supported President Trump, who have real concerns about voter fraud. So I think he needs to calm down, take a breather, and wait. Really quickly, I wanted to get your thoughts on the coronavirus hypocrisy that we've seen this week. Biden supporters are out in the streets, popping champagne bottles, shoulder to shoulder, not wearing masks properly, and even Chuck Schumer is out on the streets not wearing a mask properly. So apparently you're immune to coronavirus as long as you're celebrating a potential Biden victory, and we have video of it. Roll tape.
We're sending Donald Trump back to Florida. We don't want him in New York. We're sending Donald Trump back to Florida. We don't want him in New York.
How terrible is that, by the way? Like, what type of message does that send to the American people who can't go to funerals to pay respect to their loved ones? They can't go send their kids to school. They can't open up their businesses. If you go to a Trump rally, you're participating in a super spreader. But if you're celebrating potential Biden victory, there's nothing to see here. It's time to party.
Well, look, what this really is all about is that the mainstream media, their hypocrisy has completely been exposed. The mask has ripped off. If you're watching mainstream media and you think these people are being honest to you, then, I got something to sell you, because they literally will tell you, I mean, CNN will do this. This is a Trump super spreader event if he holds an event at the White House, but they will not even mention COVID when it comes to that. Now, I would be for, at this point, opening the whole country up, and people can make what choices they want with masks and social distancing, and a business owner should be allowed to do what they want. That would be my personal preference. But the hypocrisy about this, I mean, keep in mind, you cannot go to church or temple in New York or in California, at least in New York City or in Los Angeles. Obviously some cities are doing a little bit differently. You can't go to church or temple. They will not let you pray, and yet thousands of people can be out there and Chuck Schumer can take down his mask when he wants to talk and then put it back up. And we pretend that the sham is real and the sham just ain't real.
Yeah, not only can you not just go and pray, I mean, they'll actually fine you or they'll arrest you.
Oh, they'll fine you. They'll send people to your store. You'll have people outside celebrating, and then they'll walk into the store owner and tell them that, you know, their door can't be open or their seats are too close. It's absurd.
Yeah, it's absolutely infuriating. And I just thought of that story a couple weeks ago where CNN's Chris Cuomo got caught not wearing a mask in his own building in New York City, and the management there had to send him emails to wear a mask in the building because, you know, the rules that his brother made in the state. And he goes on TV every single day and says, "Wear the darn mask. You're killing people." Yet he just rips it off and walks in his building, told to wear it, still doesn't wear it, told to wear it one more time. Finally, they sent that email over to Tucker Carlson so he could expose him, and then he finally apologized. But it's okay though, because, you know, it's Chris Cuomo. Anyways,
let's not forget Chris Cuomo. This is the same guy who, you know, either had COVID or pretended to have it, but then they did a theater episode. Basically, they did a WWE style skit where he came out of his basement as if he was quarantined there, when it turned out he got into a fight while with a bicyclist in the Hamptons while he supposedly had COVID. I mean, it's theater. It's theater.
Yeah, and the bicyclist, he was a Democrat, and I'm assuming you probably liked watching CNN, so it's interesting how that all works. Well, Dave, we're going to leave it here. Thank you.
Yeah, good to be with you.
Thanks.